They taught us it was basic. It was foundational. It was the one thing you could eat every day without a second thought. We readily accepted the loaf of bread as a quick, harmless source of energy, an indispensable part of every meal, from hurried breakfasts to light lunches. But what if I were to tell you that this essential, familiar, and convenient food is, in fact, the silent culprit, continuously undermining your muscle strength at the cellular level? After the age of 50, every effort you make to maintain strength and fight against age-related muscle loss, sarcopenia, relies critically on two core biological processes: efficient protein absorption and robust inflammation control. And the common bread you buy at the store is actively compromising both of these mechanisms simultaneously, leading to accelerated decline. We have meticulously analysed nutritional and clinical data from geriatric studies and uncovered an alarming reality. Millions of older adults are inadvertently installing a persistent chemical barrier into their system every single day, a barrier that prevents the body from utilising the hard-earned protein effectively. The undeniable truth we must confront is that 3 common, low-cost ingredients found in nearly all commercially produced bread not only promote systemic inflammation, but also actively inhibit anabolic muscle-building signals, reducing your body's ability to absorb essential amino acids by up to 35%. You could be consuming all the high-quality protein you want, but if you eat this type of bread, your muscle tissue will simply never receive the necessary building blocks. This is the challenging truth. The multi-billion-dollar bread industry is fully aware of these issues. They have chosen to use these cheap, processed ingredients because they drastically extend shelf life, reduce production costs, and enhance flavour, ensuring you return to buy more. They have prioritised profit over your muscle health and functional independence. In this video, we will expose the 3 detrimental components lurking inside your everyday sandwich. We will not only reveal what they are, but also explain precisely how they operate at a molecular level to dismantle your muscle synthesis capabilities. Understanding this mechanism is the first and most critical step toward reclaiming lost muscle strength. Do not miss the final section, where we will provide the simple, affordable, and scientifically verified alternative that can entirely reverse this damage. Do you consume store-bought bread at least 4 times a week? Answer yes or no below. We will be closely monitoring the community response. Now that we have established the alarming reality, it is time to face the 3 ingredients that transform a seemingly innocent loaf into an enemy of your muscle health. We will analyse them meticulously by their direct impact on your anabolic capacity and functional longevity. Culprit number 1, refined wheat flour and modified gluten, the inflammatory load and malabsorption barrier. Our first culprit is the very foundation of the bread, refined wheat flour, and more specifically, the highly modified nature of modern gluten. The flour used in commercial baking is subjected to aggressive industrial milling processes, stripping it of nearly all beneficial fibre, vitamins, and minerals. But the primary muscle-compromising mechanism lies in the gluten-protein matrix. Modern wheat strains have been genetically altered for yield and baking speed, resulting in gluten structures that are inherently more difficult for the aging human digestive tract to break down. When consumed daily, this modified gluten is a frequent trigger for increased intestinal permeability, commonly known as leaky gut. The damaged intestinal lining allows partially digested proteins, inflammatory particles, and toxins to escape the gut barrier and enter directly into the bloodstream. The consequence for your muscles is severe. A chronically inflamed gut drastically reduces your body's ability to absorb vital amino acids. Furthermore, this inflammation itself actively depletes your essential micronutrients and B vitamins, which are critical cofactors for mitochondrial energy production. Studies have clearly shown that this malabsorption and nutritional depletion contribute directly to chronic muscle fatigue and severely compromises the speed and efficiency of muscle repair. Culprit number 2, processed seed oils, the catabolic trigger and recovery inhibitor. The second culprit is an ingredient added to virtually all commercial breads to cut costs, improve texture, and extend shelf life. Cheap, highly processed seed oils such as soybean, canola, or sunflower oil. The core biological problem with these oils is their extremely lopsided omega-6 to omega-3 fatty acid ratio. While our ancestors consumed a ratio closer to 4:1, commercially baked goods push this ratio to an inflammatory 15.1 or 20.1. The body utilizes omega-6s to produce potent pro-inflammatory signaling molecules. When consumed in such massive excess, they promote and sustain severe chronic systemic inflammation throughout the vascular and muscular systems. This sustained, low-level inflammation acts as a powerful, continuous catabolic trigger. In simple terms of muscle physiology, your body is constantly receiving molecular signals that tell it to prioritize defense and emergency response over repair and growth. It initiates the breakdown, catabolism, of existing muscle protein to mobilize amino acids and fuel the pervasive inflammatory response, placing your body in a persistent, low-grade state of muscle wasting. This constant inflammatory burden drastically slows down muscle recovery following exercise, increasing stiffness and joint pain. Culprit, G3, high fructose corn syrup, HFCS, excessive sugar and additives, the insulin blocker and structural compromise. Our third and final culprit is perhaps the most insidious, as it directly attacks the hormonal gatekeeper of muscle growth and compromises the mechanical structure of your tissue. Excessive sugar and high fructose corn syrup, HFCS. First, the simple presence of excessive, highly refined sugar in a staple food, consumed habitually, is a primary and aggressive driver of insulin resistance, particularly prevalent in the over 50 demographic. Insulin, the most crucial anabolic hormone in your body, acts as the key that unlocks the muscle cell membrane, allowing vital amino acids to enter and initiate muscle protein synthesis, MPS. When your cells become resistant to insulin, a condition termed anabolic resistance, the key no longer functions effectively. This scenario leads to catastrophic protein waste. You could consume all the high-quality protein you want, but if that protein cannot get past the closed muscle cell door due to insulin resistance, it is essentially shunted or excreted. The constant exposure to hidden sugar in commercial bread is actively locking your muscle cells shut. Secondly, chronic overconsumption of these refined sugars promotes the formation of toxic compounds called advanced glycation end products, AGEs. AGEs are toxic compounds formed when excess sugar molecules attach indiscriminately to proteins or lipids within the body, creating stiff, non-functional crosslinks that degrade tissue integrity. This glycation makes muscle fibers brittle, slower to contract, and much more susceptible to tearing, directly contributing to the feeling of pervasive weakness and the systemic loss of functional movement. The moment you understood the profound, multi-pronged damage caused by these three industrial ingredients, modified gluten, processed seed oils, and hidden sugars, you must ask, how do we reverse the damage and reopen the anabolic gates? The solution is revolutionary in its simplicity. Return to ancestral baking methods. The powerful, scientifically verified answer lies in true sourdough, Menchua, and authentic, slow-fermented whole grain bread. The long fermentation process inherent to true sourdough production directly addresses and neutralizes the damage caused by the three culprits, neutralizing the mineral blockers, the unlocking mechanism. During the 12 to 24-hour fermentation period, the starter performs gluten hydrolysis, effectively breaking down the tough, inflammatory components of gluten. Simultaneously, the low pH environment activates the enzyme phytase, which breaks down phytic acid. This breakdown is staggering. Studies show that traditional sourdough fermentation can reduce phytic acid content by up to 90%, liberating the essential muscle-building minerals like magnesium, zinc, and iron, fighting catabolism and inflammation, omega balance fix. By choosing artisanal bread, you inherently replace the cheap, inflammatory seed oils with healthy, beneficial fats like extra virgin olive oil. This simple substitution instantly corrects the disastrous inflammatory omega-6 imbalance, rapidly calming the systemic inflammation that drives catabolism, restoring hormonal sensitivity, the key and gate analogy. The The long fermentation process fundamentally alters the starch molecules, giving true sourdough a significantly lower glycemic index, GI, than commercially produced bread. This prevents the massive insulin spikes that fuel insulin resistance. By mitigating these spikes, sourdough helps restore the muscle cell's sensitivity to insulin, effectively reopening the anabolic gates and allowing the high-quality protein you consume to finally reach the starved muscle fibers. The clinical outcomes of switching from industrial bread to authentic sourdough are not hypothetical. They are measurable markers of restored muscle health that complete this anabolic reversal. We have seen that the breakdown of phytic acid alone restores nutrient absorption, with studies showing an increase in the bioavailability of muscle-critical minerals like magnesium and zinc by up to 50%, immediately powering mitochondrial function and reducing painful cramps. Furthermore, the simple act of correcting the omega-6 omega-3 ratio and reducing the inflammatory gluten load drastically calms your system, shown to decrease chronic systemic inflammatory markers like C-reactive protein by up to 40%. This calmer environment then allows for the final, most important step, improved protein utilization. By restoring insulin sensitivity, the muscle cell gate is permanently opened, resulting in improved protein synthesis efficiency, potentially increasing net protein synthesis by 20–30% post-meal, leading directly to measurable gains in lean mass over time. You have seen the undeniable proof. The bread on the shelf, built on industrial shortcuts, modified gluten, processed seed oils, and hidden sugars, is a direct chemical antagonist to your muscle health. It compromises your gut, fuels systemic inflammation, and locks your muscle cells shut. But the solution is in your hands. By simply choosing authentic sourdough or baking at home with quality ingredients, you perform a profound biological intervention. You neutralize the toxins, eliminate the inflammatory triggers, and restore the hormonal sensitivity necessary for muscle maintenance and growth after 50. Your strength, your independence, and your muscle health are too precious to be sabotaged by a $3 loaf of industrial bread. Take control of your primary food source. If this information has empowered you to protect your muscle health, like this video and subscribe now. Share this video with anyone you know who eats store-bought bread daily. It is time to stop the muscle decay and start building back the functional strength and vitality you deserve.